Hey crew, it's October 27th, and I had the opportunity to watch some philosophy discussions today and then read some stuff, and I thought I'd make a quick video because I'm kind of bummed out. So I was watching a professor of philosophy interviewing a guy who's kind of a secular humanist, and they were discussing initially this idea of safe spaces and trigger warnings. You know, it's this idea that if somebody, in order to protect students on campuses from unpleasant experiences, they have spaces that are reserved for just people of a certain type, women, minorities, that sort of thing, as a safe space, so that they don't have to deal with microaggressions from the hegemonic people in the community. And these guys were actually taking a fairly intellectual approach to it and discussing about how they didn't think this was a healthy thing for a whole bunch of reasons, which I agree with completely. But at the same time, then they went off on this long thing about how it turns out they're both very passionate atheists and believe that belief in God is a sign that you've given up trying to understand the world rationally, and that you're wasting your time and your life force on something that's patently and obviously false. And they were, to the point of basically just discounting anyone who disagreed with them and assuming that they know everything. And actually, this professor said that he got in trouble because he wrote a paper about how the job of professors was to convince students that their illogical beliefs are wrong, and only and teach them only the logical truths, essentially. And I just feel like that's arrogant. And the idea is that you teach students the methods for I don't know. Well, that just seems completely wrong-headed. It just seems what fundamentalists have always done is, whether you're religious or not religious, your goal is to convince other people that you're right, rather than, or that they're wrong if you disagree with them, and convert them. And I think that's a bad place to start. It's the idea that other people are obviously wrong and you're obviously right. Anyway, and I was talking to Sarah about it, and it just seems like there are so few people in the world now that I feel like I have sort of a shared understanding with. I feel like, interestingly, there are a few who I agree with, but there's so many people who want to be right, and want to be sure that they're right. And the irony is that so these individuals in this started talking about the other people who they're arguing against, and these other people and this other group of people, and blah blah blah. And I don't know that there is an other group of people. I think there are, everybody's beliefs intersect in different ways, but it just makes me a little sad, because I feel like people are so quick to condemn others. And it seems ironic that I'm making this video, but, I don't want to condemn these guys. I just wish that instead of being busy trying to convince other people that you're right, if we were trying to find the places where we do agree and move forward from there, instead of changing everyone else's perspectives. And I think that, this whole election cycle has been just disheartening. I watch political coverage, and I see even the political coverage that is reaching the conclusions that I agree with often are doing so using logic that I think is severely flawed, and will lead to lots of conclusions that I disagree with at some later date, that I think are illogical, and it's frustrating. And then the thing that prompted me to make this video is, so I'm actually sitting outside Terren's karate. He's in karate right now. Was that the news I just saw the news that the occupiers of the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge have been acquitted of federal charges. And, you know, I read the article, and like the charges that they were armed on federal property and prevented employees from going to work, basically prevented employees from doing their jobs. And it was an armed occupation. And they, you know, and in the article, it actually describes how the defendants actually talked, you know, used this as an opportunity to share their grievances, and talked about how they were armed on the site, and all this evidence was presented, and somehow they're all found not guilty. And I just don't understand in this particular situation, especially, you know, lots of people in the tribal community here are being involved in the Standing Rock protests against the pipeline, which, yeah, I don't understand the complexities of that situation, and I don't take a stand on it, but there's no doubt that, you know, if a bunch of Native Americans had done this, had gone out to the Malheur Wildlife Refuge and brought guns and had said, this was our traditional lands and we want it back and we're occupying it so that we can get it back, they would all be in prison, you know? They would all be going directly to prison. And I just don't understand how that can happen. And I feel like as a society in general, people lack critical reasoning skills and the ability to step back and think sort of analytically about things and I don't, it just, and you're like, oh yeah, I kind of sympathize with these guys because they, you know, they feel displaced and they feel like the rural West is blah, 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 blah. But that doesn't matter. That's not what the justice system is about. That's not what anything is about. You know, I disagree with, you know, Muslim fundamentalists and their, you know, radicalized behaviors that causes death and destruction. But that doesn't necessarily mean that their system of understanding is evil, you know. And that's, you know, where these atheists were talking about that, how, you know, they're part of the crowd on the left that think that it's just political correct speech to not condemn Islam as a dangerous, evil set of ideas. You know, and it just is, I'm feeling kind of hopeless right now. And it's frustrating, and it's sad. It's sad. I mean, there's so much joy, you know, and you work, you know, when you get one-on-one with people and you do stuff with them and you don't talk about politics and you don't talk about religion, and you just, you know, you try to get things done, or if you need help, people are there for you. They care. And I don't understand how we let these ideas be so destructive. And then, you know, these ideas that are developed become the basis for, you know, armed insurrections and that sort of thing. And then, I don't know. Anyway, a bit rambling. I'll probably edit this a little bit just so you don't have to sit through the whole rambling bits, but a little bit depressed, and I just wish things were better. Hope you're doing well. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.